GM, hot takes and cold wallets, episode 20 already. And episode 20 is a special one. We have Griff Green here tonight. Hi, Griff. How you doing?
GM, I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Nice. We're gonna do an intro on you, like an extended version of that. But we also got Juan and Nikita here from Chain Patrol. Hi, guys. How you doing? Nikita, that was on mute, but you gotta do it better than that.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm doing great. We are, we've settled in. Things are going. Team is shipping like crazy right now, and that's the main thing that really needs to be happening.
Yeah, same for me. Excited for everything that is happening. A lot of things to discuss today. Happy to be in episode 20 of Hot Takes Cold Wallets. Insane that we got so far.
It's crazy how time flies, actually. And it's funny that we got Griff here tonight in episode 20, because Griff, for people who don't know you, you are an OG of Ethereum, if you want. The DAO hack, the famous DAO hack, was in 2016, and it's almost 10 years. So yeah. Episode 20 and 10 years ago, that is kind of like a fitting narrative for tonight's show. And for those of you who don't know you are an OG, as I just said, in the Ethereum ecosystem. You were the community manager at the time when the DAO hack happened. And I don't want to spend too much time in the past, because we got a lot of things to look out for in the future. But can you maybe take the listener on a journey with you to what happened back in the day in 2016?
Yeah. So I was Slockit's first employee. Slockit was doing a sharing economy group, and we wanted to make smart locks. And the idea was like, hey, you can send ether to the lock. The lock has its own wallet. It will open if you send the right amount of ether to it. And then, you can get something out of the locker, or a drone can be paid to do things. But we knew people were going to put weed in lockers, right? And so okay, what do we do to avoid this jurisdictional issue, right? Well, let's launch a DAO. And so that was actually what started the DAO. It was really, as all ICOs seem to be, some kind of jurisdictional play. But we did that mostly to crowdfund our own project. But as the DAO got more and more traction, it kind of developed into this decentralized, almost venture capital fund for Ethereum. And it ended up collecting about 14% of all ether in existence. And at the time, that was worth $150 million. And that was the largest crowdfund ever, anywhere at all, right? Now, since then, I think EOS raised $4 billion or something with their scam market making thing that they did, and Faye raised $1 billion. So now it's it's, I don't even know if it's in the top 20 anymore. But at the time, it basically proved capital formation, the idea of using crypto for capital formation. And 3 weeks after launch, for more context, it's Solidity was 8 months old when we launched, right? Ethereum was super raw. I mean, when we started this project, Slockit started basically right when the first block was mined in Ethereum. So, the block numbers were in the tens of thousands and not even hundreds of thousands when we were actually working on this. So, there were bugs to be expected, and to the point where, we found so many bugs post-hack that even the hacker who started hacking the contract, their attack contract bugged out because of other bugs in the DAO, right? So it was Swiss cheese doesn't even cover it, right? The thing looked like one of those pieces of paper at a shooting range. It was just holes everywhere. But I basically led the chaos after the fact, right? The recovery effort from pretty much every angle. The hard fork is what really solved the problem for almost everybody. I did the least there. That was really, the Ethereum Foundation had to do the coding, and actually Nick Johnson wrote the contract. There were lots of cool OGs working on that. But the counterattack on the hack, like I said, the hacker only stole $50 million, about a third of the DAO, and we took the rest. So me, Jordi Bellina, Lefteris, and a few other guys, we ended up hacking the DAO, rescuing the rest of the money. It's a long story, and if you want to go into it, Laura Shin's book is by far the best. Re-encount like the thing explaining it. It's 100 pages. She goes deep, really well cited. But in the end, we were able to hard fork the network, take all the money that we had in our DAOs and all the money that was hacked from the DAO, put it in a contract where DAO token holders could claim their money back. Now, there was a little bit more effort that needed to be done because not all of the ether that was put into the DAO had DAO tokens to represent the claim. So there was 3% that ended up needing like extra contracts or other to solve problems for other people. We called it the edge cases. And so I led a group of people to solve all the edge cases for everybody. And that is where we are today. I mean, I'm skipping over so much. Like there was the whole ETC thing that happened, like Ether Classic, so many details. But to speed run it, like now we are 2026. Of that 3% of edge case funds, about 20% was never claimed. And we are keeping claims open. But we're in a spot where with AI attacks and wrench attacks and just like there's so many potential issues that could come up with these old contracts that were written in 2016 that are a lot more complicated than just the simple hard fork contract. We decided to actually take the money out of those contracts where it was, stake it, and leave some money in there so claims can continue, and really honor and respect the funds that and maintain their claimability, but we're staking it so that we have revenue to provide actual security, because that 2%, or sorry, that 20% of 3%, 0.6% that is left over is worth today more than what the DAO raised in the first place. It's like $170 million or something. And when we were looking at this, it was $300 million. So like, it's just like too much money to just be like YOLOing with a 3 of 6 multi-sig that was written in 2016. So like now we're doing a much more professional setup. We have incredible curators. It's like the who's who of Ethereum security. It's Vitalik Buterin. We have Taylor Monahan, Jordi Bellina, PC from Seal 911, me, Alex Van de Sande, and Lansky from DAppNode, who's managing the staking. So we have just like a really good team to like protect these funds and also decide what to do with the revenue, because we don't need that much to secure it professionally. So we're taking all the extra revenue and actually using it to fund Ethereum security in general.
I wanted to ask about this. Like, you actually went from the lock project to then like fund the people that actually try to secure the space and put effort into making it like a safer ecosystem. That's very awesome. And we all know, Nikita, you know it, Juan, you know it. We talked about this a lot, like public goods in the space. It's hard to raise funding for security based goods. I also work for Revoke, so it's kind of like meet me in the middle right here and let's talk about this, because I posted about this like earlier today, where we basically we found a way to monetize speculation in the space, but we didn't find a way to monetize security, if you will. So this is like an awesome initiative. I really love it. And Nikita, what's your thoughts on this maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there are so many different efforts in the crypto security world right now, and there's still so many experts, and we're all kind of building our own thing, right? And so I think the point of this initiative is to bring forward all of our learnings. There's like the smart contract auditing group, right? But that's just one group that I think we focused on a lot over the past couple of years, and it's great and it's worked very well. The purely smart contract hacks are way down and it's worked very well, but now we're seeing issues with operational security. We're seeing issues with like infrastructure hacks. We're seeing issues with phishing attacks hitting people, and I think that's a big part of this effort. I have been getting in for the security badge myself and all this, and I'm looking at how they're splitting up the even the allocations of like what qualifies you for a badge. And what I really liked in that qualification criteria is that it actually does take into account all the different areas of security. And I think that's a very important aspect here, is that I think just because we're in crypto, it doesn't mean all of the traditional cybersecurity best practices suddenly don't matter. In fact, they matter probably even more now. And I think we've been approaching crypto security for too long as if it's something different. It's actually something layered on top. It's something new, but on top of all the old stuff. And so that's that's I think what most of the industry is realizing now. I think it's been a big talking point of the last like 6 months or so, if not a bit more. But individual teams, I think, are not paying enough attention yet. And so I think it's important that the security comes in and community comes in, and we make this, at all the side events, all the conferences, like we're talking about it, we're getting it out into people's knowledge that this is like, other areas of security they need to pay attention to as well, not only the smart contract audits.
Yeah, what you actually can't do, like you cannot bring your Web 2 security habits, which are bad in the first place.
Yeah,
And
that
with
is
most people, you
also-
cannot bring them to Web 3 and expect them to work because, hey, you're like prey here for the people trying to hunt you down, especially,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, Gif, you're also the founder of Giveth, as people can see in your name tag right in the stream. What made you like found Giveth in the first place? Like the great crowdfunding platform that we have in the crypto space.
I mean, really, it was a continuation of the DAO and the efforts that you actually already alluded to. Like we found a way to like make money off speculation. How do we not figure out how to make money through public goods? And really, the value to crypto for me, 100%. Like the reason I'm here, what gets me excited every day to get out of bed and play in this space, is I really believe that these are the tools that we can use to create economies around value that is traditionally like underappreciated in the world. And so the biggest one for me is nonprofits and what do they call it, market failures, right? And public goods is a traditional market failure. And so Giveth's goal has always been like, the words change over the time, but it's like, we're going to make DAOs for charity. Like in the end, we build a donation platform because that's where charities are. That's where nonprofits are. They collect donations. And so we've been onboarding them into crypto for the last decade. And it's been tough. Okay. I've seen nonprofits lose money in crypto in every way you can imagine. Right. And of course, it's not just speculating on bad altcoins. It's sending money to the right address on the wrong chain. It's phishing attacks. It's all the things that, keep me going and focused on security, because I can't actually, Ethereum is not safe, right? And so we started Giveth so that we could build economies around causes, so we can make nonprofits profitable, because nonprofits create value. So we should be able to create an economy around the value they produce. And we thought we could use blockchains to do that. Now, in the end, it's been a 10-year-long research project, and we never cracked the nut. I mean, it's been very difficult. We've had ups and downs. We've had opportunities. But I wouldn't say that we have found a playbook for let's tokenize these public goods and make it work. Because I'm confident that there is something there that eventually will be able to use digital scarcity and supply-demand dynamics to fund public goods. Just haven't figured it out. And so when I was looking at how do we build the DAO and how do we make this, things, that a lot of that is still injected into it. Our goal is to fund Ethereum security projects, but in the end, we're doing it in the DAO way. We're gonna do this with 200 ETH security badge holders, right? Which is past Dunbar number. We're gonna make DAO style decisions, and hopefully, eventually, if we can crack the nut of like getting 200 or more people in a room making good decisions, maybe then we can build an economy around that distribution. So this is kind of the ideas, and really my mission, my personal mission, whether it's the DAO, Giveth, or Common Stack, or any of the other dozen startups that I've had over the years, it's always the same mission, which is making nonprofits profitable.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I just want to chime in that it's like very challenging. You know, like we've started off with Chain Patrol as well started off, and we were often told that like, hey, this sounds like it should be like a public good, right? And what you're doing, you're finding scams on the internet, you're blacklisting them, you're sharing this data with others. And honestly, we were looking down that pathway, but it's just not clear how we could possibly operate this and get to the level of impact that we have gotten to without turning it into a paid business, right? We found a business model, it worked, and so we're able to do what we do. But everything has value, right? Everything that you do that's good, especially in security, it helps somebody, right? So it protects somebody. So there is some sort of value that exists there. So like you're saying, like theoretically, there should be a way to fund this because it benefits a large variety of people and get some small amount of money, maybe across all of these people, or somebody funds it, right? Like theoretically, like you're doing work and that work does have value, so you should be able to get paid for it. But everybody that's trying to tackle this problem, it's extremely difficult. So I mean, it's like I do think respect for anybody that does push that direction.
I'm so confident we have the tools. We just haven't figured out how to put it together yet. Maybe AI will help us eventually, but like
we should run auto research, run that on the public goods funding.
I mean, I feel like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and like the L1s, it's ended up working out, right? Like Bitcoin provides a public good similar to the roads, the financial rails. True, yeah. Like anyone in the world can receive Bitcoin from anyone else in the world, and they can just create a public address, right? And I mean, that is an incredible value. And it's not funded by taxes. It's not funded by donations. It's funded by issuing a currency and creating demand for the currency, which honestly, Bitcoin's dynamic, like economic dynamic, is the same as governments. Like they print money and they charge taxes. The Bitcoin tax is, the miner fee, right? You put in an input and the output's a little bit less. Boom, miners get funded. It's kind of this little in-game tax. And then it's printing money. This is the same thing governments do. So like we have, the tools are so close. Like I know it's there. We just haven't. I mean, I honestly feel like the narrative we're way behind from the narrative standpoint, and I don't know. We haven't quite figured out. I feel like bonding curves have something to do there, and there's really great opportunity, but. We can't. I've tried for a decade. I'm honestly ready to pass the torch because we'll keep trying and we'll provide space. But the cool thing with the DAO is that now we're like in a place where we have funding and we can actually support DAO tooling providers and people who are building some of this infrastructure and allow them to use their tooling and sharpen their tooling by distributing funds to Ethereum security projects.
One of my friends once asked me why I'm working in crypto, and basically I was like, hey, like the ecosystem in crypto, it's so good at creating value, but it's so bad in keeping it. So there's my job basically playing into this role, like protecting users, getting them to know like wallet security better, like, hey, the basic cybersecurity things that Nikita talked about, you gotta keep them and have them locked down if you want to participate in Web3. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's like the harsh truth that you gotta learn. Like you gotta be good at the stuff that you're doing, and you gotta take advice to heart that you get from people that have been here for a while, like Griff, 10 years. So we lost like billions in dollars of worth in this ecosystem already. And we also wrap up with latest once in a week. Griff, if you haven't like listened to the show before, we always have the latest trends, quote unquote, in the hacks and scams that are going on. And one of that was the CoW Swap DNS hijack, Nikita. I think you guys were on the fence watching what happened with CoW Swap, and basically what they had happened to them was their DNS was hijacked, which basically means if someone wanted to open up the domain of cow.swap, they were redirected to like a lookalike web page, and if they wanted to do like approvals or swaps, they did approvals to contract that weren't actually CoW Swap. And I think the damage was kind of like minimal, but everyone was on their toes because DNS hijacking is something that the end user cannot do anything against unless they know like, hey, this is the CoW Swap contract. I got to bookmark it. I have like a name tag in my wallet, etc., etc. So what would you say to users how can you even prevent stuff like this happening to you as a retail user?
Yeah, I mean, to you, maybe we can talk about the organizations like first. There are certain hosting providers that are better than others, or like DNS registrars that are better than others. Cloudflare, I believe, being one of them, that is more resistant to these kinds of attacks, because there are certain registrars where the support teams have way too much control over your domain, and so they can essentially go and get bribed, and then they can just change up the DNS records, point it to another site. This is the common. There are other ways it can happen too, like sometimes teams get phished and all this other stuff. But the most common one is just like somebody bribes a support agent that has too much access. Now, one thing that led to the reduced amount of funds stolen in this case is the effort by Efficient Detect, by Seal, and also by ourselves to blocklist this across as many places as possible. Like, it goes into a lot of different wallets. This was caught very early on, and so warnings started showing up right away for users across like MetaMask, like Phantom, other wallets. So the moment you go to that page, you get a big scary warning, and you know that something is up here. This is honestly something that's not a very like formally defined process that I'd like us to improve as a whole. Like the way we actually do it across the across the security space right now is like we just put it on the block, on like the same block list that malicious sites go on, just temporarily, and then we later remove it. For some people it works. For some people it actually can cause damage to the underlying domain at times, and then there's like a whole cleanup that has to happen afterwards, because it ends up spreading to a bunch of other security systems that might not be as aware of crypto. And so we really should treat it as a bit of a different thing. It's a domain compromise, not a not like a inherently phishing domain. And so that's an improvement we can make in the space that would actually make the domain kind of reputation easier to recover afterwards.
Is CoW Swap having an issue with that right now?
So with them, it's limited. It's not been that bad, but we've seen a few others where we were helping out Lido, for example. Some of their domains were flagged like a year later still across different security systems. We were helping out some others as well that had similar issues where they have had their domains flagged for a very long time by just like other random Web 2 security providers that were just they don't pay attention to what really goes on here. They're just like, oh, we got it through some threat intel feed, throw it on the block list and just keep it there forever.
I mean, half of them hate crypto anyway, right? So
that's the thing.
Like, we have such a bad name in the space that they're like, it's a crypto thing.
Yeah. But actually, an interesting point on that is a lot of them are becoming way more aware. Like, we work with the Cloudflare team and like Vercel and some others, and they are all like seeing a huge portion of all scams they deal with and all abuse of their platforms are now crypto-related threats. So they are now forced to learn about what is going on in the space. What is a wallet drainer? How do we find fingerprints of wallet drainers on our infra and proactively remove them? So they are learning. They are putting efforts. Some are annoyed by it. Some are like, oh, okay, this is just like a new type of attack and we just need to treat it seriously and act on it. But yeah, more and more, I would say TradFi security systems or like Trad world security systems are all starting to become very aware of drainers. Even with like the NPM attacks and the GitHub repos being hit, every time they get hit, it's always wallet drainer, some sort of wallet drainer code that gets injected in there. They're not even targeting some traditional company with this. They're just like, they just hacked a package that gets distributed to millions of people. And what do they put in there? Wallet drainer code.
I mean, I was talking to PC throughout, because he's one of the curators and founder of Seal 911, right? And he's convinced me that basically hot wallets are like the biggest original sin of crypto, and it's just how much cybercrime is targeted just at a hot wallet. And I wonder how much cybercrime would go away if we didn't have such a reliance.
Griff, I can tell you, like, from the revoked support tickets that we see, like, on the 2 years I've worked with Revoke now, I would say like 90, maybe even 95% of the tickets we get, they are not related to Revoke. They are basically all related to, hey, my wallet got drained, and the root cause for that is malware, like 95% of the time. And the question we ask, like, first question is, did you use a software wallet, like a MetaMask, Rabby, just that? Yep, it's always the same story. Like, the starter kit for everyone, like, I don't want to like praise hardware wallets too much, but because it sometimes comes off like, hey, you're just like kissing their beep all the time, but a hardware wallet can protect so many users just from making these simple mistakes to run their crypto stuff on their everyday machine. Then they're downloading malware, and then they are toast. Maybe it's not even crypto related what they are doing, but they are downloading like, I don't know, like a cracked Adobe CC suite or something like that, right?
Totally.
Which has a stealer.
I wonder why I feel like smart contract wallets have a place to play here too, but they haven't seen much adoption outside of Safe for multi-sigs. And I'm really surprised by that, because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these attackers would be also stopped if you had to do a Google login, right? Like,
maybe. I mean, people click through a lot of things. Like, it really depends what's shown to them. If you just need to log in, or like some sites literally like are just say like, hey, please input your seed phrase, and you're always being told like, don't put your seed phrase into sites, and people will put it in and they'll type it word by word, like they'll go find the paper it's written down on.
But that's the thing, right? With a smart contract wallet, the user doesn't have a seed phrase. Like, how many, I don't hear about people getting their Polymarket like accounts drained very often,
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
You don't hear that. You don't hear about privies, people who use privy getting drained. It's always Rabby, MetaMask, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think we really are underselling, like, don't get me wrong, hardware wallets for big money, but for like the general day-to-day stuff, dude, fucking clicking through that shit is so annoying.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. I mean, smart account wallets can skip approved, like batch transactions, can do the UX solutions and protect users better than EOA. So it's like, for me, it's just like smart accounts are better than EOAs in every dimension other than adoption, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, it's interesting because like social logins are totally a thing with email and stuff like that. And I would assume that if someone has like 2FA activated on their email and they're using like a social login for that, they should be better off than using the hot wallet, sorry. So that's kind of like a good take. It's not the hot take, Riff. I would say that's a good take.
Oh, it's not a hot take. Damn it. I thought it was a hot take on hot wallets.
It's a cold take on hot wallets.
Damn.
but honestly, like, it's a very great discussion to have, because like I think that the main root cause we see is software wallets nowadays still. But as Nikita said, like, the problem is sometimes people don't think what they save in their browser history as well, right? If they save every login to every social login they have in their browser history, and they download this malware or the virus, and they also get access to these credentials, it kind of grills them too. So it's a pattern that you need to interrupt if you really want to be safe, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just surprised because we had a big push for the smart accounts and it just kind of died out. Like you don't really hear about account abstraction and all that stuff so much anymore.
Many
There
wallets
was a
don't
lot,
even support it, right? Like,
Exactly.
Rabby doesn't even support 7702, and I would think like it's like second after MetaMask nowadays in usage.
Yeah, I think the tricky thing for these wallets, I'm not sure if this was like somebody has a solution yet or not, but you essentially would have to like delegate your like person, like your EOA to one of these smart contracts, right?
Yep.
But then that opens a new draining possibility, because somebody could just ask you to delegate your EOA to a drainer contract.
In MetaMask, that's not possible. So like in every majorly adopted wallet that you have, Empire, I think, and MetaMask, they don't allow you to delegate to anything outside of their own platform. So that's a good thing, and we always see these happen in revoked Discord tickets as well. Is when someone got drained, then like the bad actor, they set up a delegation to their wallet to actually be able to drain everything that comes in, just like as a backup solution, because they already have the private key, they wouldn't need it, but they have the backup solution with the EOA like being delegated, and they do it to some degree with some kind of shady wallet. I don't know what kind of wallet they are using for this, because MetaMask wouldn't allow you to delegate to like an external service. It just allows you to delegate to their own internal solution.
Yeah, but 7702 for me is like it's not a security solution, it's a UX solution, right? It makes it easy for you to do batch transactions and really nice things, but in the end you still have a private key sitting in your browser that can be drained, right? And so like I think the real key is having a smart contract that has serious rules, time locks, like daily limits, all these things that you can program in where the money can't leave. And my hope is that maybe with AI agents, since we're always like worried about AI agents being dumb, but like for some reason we're not looking at the people being dumb, but like, okay, we're going to worry about AI agents hallucinating and making mistakes with your crypto. Not that it doesn't happen every day with real users. So now we need to put smart contract wallets out there so that like they have daily limits, they have whitelists, they have all these things that only they can interact with, that maybe we can get a push here. But even when I talk to developers for agent wallets, they're still not really looking at smart contracts. They're always looking at EOAs with permissions and or MCPs, basically a multi-sig off-chain, right? They're doing more tricks like that. I don't know. It's my own little axe to grind, I guess.
It's a topic we cannot resolve today, I guess.
No.
But that's a good one for a later episode, Griff. You're gonna be back, I guess.
I hope so.
Nikita, I want to talk about lights in dark rooms, your documentation about the scam compounds, because Griff also plays a role in that with his Giveth platform. You guys are supporting the charity funding, so to say, for the project. And we talked about this a few weeks ago when you guys premiered it at ECC. And since you had made progress, like there was an article out, like highlighting certain things of the documentation. We didn't see the full documentation yet, sadly, but fingers crossed we're gonna see it one day. And Nikita, so what would you say? Like, again, Griff is here tonight, so for people who didn't really know how scams are like operated in the background, and we just thought like, hey, it's some kind of hacker sitting in the basement of their mom and hacking wallets and like making a fortune, buying a Rolex, spending it on champagne or something. But then we found, like, not only through your project, but also through your project, that it's actually like people getting trafficked and forced to scam people.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's really it's a massive operation, right? Like, we have a few things going on, right? Like, one, we can't forget about DPRK, which is a whole nation state actor. They have an entire branch of their military that is dedicated to these attacks. And then we have the scam compounds, right? These are their entire cities, right, that are being built, where they have, higher level criminals that handle the building, the construction, trafficking people. They travel to other countries. They typically run job scams and, promise somebody a job in Thailand or somewhere else. And then they take them over the border into Myanmar. And at other times it's, scam centers directly in the Philippines. That's not even exactly the large compounds. It's literally just an office building. There's a normal company on one floor, there's a scam center on another floor, and this is happening completely under the radar of many organizations and of governments as well. There are task forces now. There's people trying to do something about this, but they operate at such a scale that, one, they have tons of money, right? They have money for bribes, for corruption, like it's all tied into corruption. And so it's very difficult. Like the amount, like, to track them down, to do anything about them. And it's literally like, and small NGOs and a few people that are handling this, and so they need a lot more support, is what I'm saying. Is we need to whether it's through a donation, through awareness, through helping out the victims in some way, providing assistance to them, or even work or something else, or like a lot of these people just come back and it takes them a long time to like recover from these attacks. I don't know if Griff, you want to add something as well.
Honestly, it's just such a sad thing. You know, it's like victims making more victims. It's just such a tragic situation, and it's so interesting to become more aware of it through your documentary. I didn't get to see it. I would have absolutely gone, but I was hosting it.
It is coming.
It was so tragic.
No worries.
I'm glad that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see that it's actually raising some decent cash on Giveth. I'm sure it'll be a lot more. I'm pretty sure I actually didn't get to review this one yet in the QF round. I assume it's going to make it, but yeah, and there's $1 million in this QF round, so I'm sure that'll be a nice pump for this project. And I just think it's really important to have full awareness. You know, we think it's like just a bunch of bad guys who are attacking us, and you know, but Coinbase support on the other side is like a victim too, you know. And it's I mean, it just makes it all the more reason to get hot wallets off of our devices.
yeah. No, it's like, you know, if we make the jobs harder, that's like of these attackers, that's something that in a way makes it less lucrative for them to even run these businesses, right? Like if we make it super easy for them to run these attacks, they're going to continue growing their empire essentially. And so we can help on, you know, supporting the victims, but helping secure our own defenses and making it less of a lucrative business.
I'm just thinking, like, I'm doing like a lot of the tech education around like, hey, don't click this, avoid doing this and that. But we might actually need some more human education about like, hey, this is like a human tragedy going on, and the guy at the other side scamming you or trying to reach out to you pretending to be a woman for the 10th time this week is not actually like someone who's like doing bad stuff on their own, but they're kind of forced to, or they're getting tortured or whatever's happening to them. Sadly, it's kind of insane, Griff, because like in a real world, you're not often faced with a problem like this. But when you see like crypto, I think that's the problem of being like a global town square, so to say, right? Like every jurisdiction basically comes into this, and we're seeing stuff we could have probably never imagined like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, it's honestly disgusting. It's just, it's so tragic.
Yeah.
Juan, what about you? Do you think that people actually understand the level of human that flows into these kind of scams?
I would say it depends on where you currently base. For example, I would say here from Argentina, scam compounds are not something common. Like we hear like a lot of different and sad things going on, but not exactly on the scam compound side of things. Like there are like different kind of scams, like you receive like fake calls, people claiming to be your grandmother, that your grandmother needs help and asks you for money, and those kind of schemes. But I think that's like in I would say, low level operation. It's not like a high level operation with a lot of resources and a lot of structures as we see happening with the scam compounds in general. So I think definitely, for me at least, was like an eye opener, like when I saw the premiere a few weeks ago. But definitely I would say for everyone, when we release it publicly, that will happen really soon, you will be able to see like how these problems actually happen, and also how crypto is related to this. Because I think like a lot of people in crypto know, for example, about like the, I don't know, different things that happen in France with the kidnapping and all of these different things, but they're not so much aware of like what are the scam compounds and how they also interact with crypto, and how crypto is something structural to these groups in order to allow these kind of scams as well. So I think it's definitely like a good complement to how like more eyes being open on these different issues as well.
Do you guys remember Purse.io back in the day? It was like a permissionless Bitcoin payment processor for Amazon, you could say, where you could like make an Amazon cart, put a Bitcoin bounty behind it, and you would actually get like 15% off, right? Maybe more. And I was using it back in the day. In fact, I run a Burning Man camp, and I was collecting Bitcoin for dues and using Purse.io to buy everything, right? For the Burning Man camp. And then eventually I found out that the reason I'm getting a discount is because people are calling up random old people or people, people who somehow make this mistake, and they're pretending to be the IRS and say like, you owe us back taxes, and if you don't pay us right now with an Amazon gift card, You got to go to a store and buy an Amazon gift card with cash and send me the receipt, and people would do it, but then they would sell the Amazon gift card for $300, even though it's a $500 gift card, right? And it's like the dynamic behind making that work is way more expensive than what it is now with crypto. And even then, they were just doing that and then getting Amazon gift cards and buying stuff on Purse.io to get Bitcoin at a 15% discount or whatever. But now it's like they don't even have to get the discount. They do the same pig butchering scams to get people to just send them straight crypto, and it's way more profitable.
Yeah. No, it's insane.
They are very good with their tactics. Like, they adopt very fast, and you gotta give it to them sometimes. These are smart people at the other end. I gotta say that, like, no shades given, like, they are smart. They are adapting, they are creative, they are setting up stuff that even I would sometimes think, say, hey, I could fall for this as well if I'm not like as invested in the space as I am today. So Griff, let's talk a bit. Let's talk a bit about more about funding and stuff like that. Why would you think is security so hard to found in the space?
I mean, I just want to say, like, this kind of transition, it seems to be normal for me, because I come into the security space and it's like Debbie Downer conversation, and then I'm like, we got millions of dollars to support security. Let's talk good things. It's like I feel like so lucky to be like the only positive light in the security space right now. But yeah, I think it's it's a classic public good, right? The reason why security is hard to fund is the same reason security is hard to fund in the real world, right? It's you have nation states usually funding security, right? The police, you have the armies, you have all that, and that's usually what happens. And only when nation states really suck, then you have more of like HOA style security, if you go to Cape Town in South Africa, anyone with any wealth lives in a gated community, and the gated community has dudes with machine guns, that kind of gated community, right? And so it's like then you have your own personal security solutions that end up like with the HOA style model, like a housing association, where you have a group of people who kind of come together to share the cost of security. Because the other thing with security in general is that it scales so well. It scales so well. Like, if you have, it's a lot cheaper per person to secure the more people you have, right? Or the more assets you have. It's like it's the economics of scale in the security space are huge. And so I think one of the biggest problems as an industry is our coordination around it. And Nikita touched on it earlier. It's like, we could probably coordinate a little bit better if we had a different, solution for a domain like compromise versus like a malicious domain, right? And but who gets the funding to do that sort of thing? Who's going to coordinate it? It takes time. It takes really intelligent people who are very expensive in our space, because right now in the Ethereum security space, you pay auditors and you kind of rely on these auditors, and every project is acting on their own, finding their own personal security solution. And so we have the worst economics of scale ever. It's every project having to figure out their own security on their own. And it means that we spend billions. This is a billion-dollar industry, right? Multi-billion-dollar industry every year. And for good reason, because it also is $1 billion of losses every year. So, it's a $1 billion industry. And I actually think if we coordinated better, we could and more efficiently, we could actually bring down the cost of security, have better security for cheaper, just by scaling it. And this is really what the DAO and my initiative is focused on, is how do we coordinate effectively to reduce costs and spend more efficiently to protect more people all at once. This is why we're doing the security badges. This is why we're doing the QF round. We're choosing how to secure things. Like, everyone's hitting me up, hey, can you help me with my audit? Can you help me pay for my audit? It's like, no, we're not going to pay for any audits. That secures one project. And it's kind of just a waste of money, right? With the QF round, we're running $1 million QF round, and the goal isn't even the $1 million distributed. That's like almost a tertiary goal. Of course, it's great that we can send a lot of money out to people, but the real top level goal is discovery. All these amazing open source tools that are out there that different teams are using that are open source that they want other people to use so that we can all be more secure together. No one knows about them. You know?
Griff, you're already in the round, so let's talk about it. Is there any particular project you like to see supported in this round?
I mean, it's a very broad round. My goal is it's not about a specific type of project. It's really about all projects. It's about the discovery effort. It's about finding out what cool people are doing out there. You know, it's about understanding the different developer tools are important, but also, Willie, dude, you're in there, right? Because you're going to get hopefully 1,000 followers just by being in there, and people will be more secure watching your content, right? So whether it's content creators, it's developer tooling, I think is going to be a huge solution thing. Like there's going to be so much interesting things coming out of that. I think there's just I'm like blanking because it's like overwhelming how many cool projects are actually in this round right now. But I'm excited for afterwards when I can get a CSV file of all that data, make some ETH skills for agents, make some like, you know, get it all out there so people can even just see. And then we're also going to have this really interesting thing with Quadratic Funding where you kind of have a market discovery as well, where it's like, look at
can you explain that a bit, Griff, for maybe people who are not being familiar with Quadratic Funding?
Yeah, so you know, in the donation space, often there's a matching pool. Normal traditional matching pools, it's like, hey, for every dollar you put in, we're going to 3x the amount, right? You put in $10, we're going to put in $30 on top, right? So, and that's a great incentive for donating, but it's dollar for dollar. And what Quadratic Funding does is it also adds in a dimension of how many unique individuals donate, right? So it's like a democratic matching pool. So the more people donating, the more money that actually distributes the $1 million matching pool that we have on top of it.
Basically, so, like a voting, right?
Exactly. And your vote is still denominated in dollars, but it's quadratic. And of course, the algorithm is actually way more complicated than this. But the simple idea is like, if you donate $1, it's worth 1 point. If you donate $100, it's worth 10 points, right? So 10 people donating $1 is just as powerful as one person donating 100. So you end up with this nice democratic matching pool. And it does a really good job and I think it's a perfect solution for this type of round, where actually, like, yes, there might be a few people who benefit from some security tools a lot. And so maybe they donate a lot of money to that one tool. But if a lot of people benefit from these security tools a little, and they all put in, that one might, even though it raises 1/10 of the amount of money, it might actually get more matching pool, right? So, and we're doing another experiment too with this, where we have ETH security badge holders. Where, you know, I'll get into how you become a badge holder in a second, but if you let me. But the idea here is we're collecting the top 200 Ethereum security experts, and we're going to give them all some funds, like $100 worth of tokens. That the tokens don't actually have any value unless they're donated in the round. And then they can all donate to these different projects. And those donations will be worth 4 times as much as a normal person's donation. So $1 donated from an ETH security expert is going to be count as $4. And so that way we can have these experts and 200 experts, so that we can avoid conflict of interest things. These 200 experts will actually be able to have a heavy influence over how the outcome is distributed. But it's not going to be just like, it's also still the community has a big voice too, right? So it's like, I expect there to be somewhere around 2,000 to 10,000 donors, and only 200 of them will be experts. So it should be it should be a pretty fair round.
Yeah, no, that's a great setup.
Nikita, can I ask you a question? If you were to have like a shovel with money right now, and you can put it like towards security, where would you put it? And please don't say brand protection right now.
Yeah.
I would say anything to do with just developer compromises. I think honestly, like I think are really important areas. Anything that comes to just like supply chain attacks. It's just like it's so common now that somebody just goes to GitHub. It's either as part of an interview or they're just checking out a new project. Devs like just trust GitHub as like GitHub does nothing wrong. You know, like you can just go there. Like I don't think anybody until recently, like in the developer world, has even thought about the fact that there can be malicious code on a GitHub repo. Like that's just not even something that has. I like we are in the security space, so we think about this. I don't think any normal dev actually like that even crosses their mind whatsoever. And so anything on GitHub, they just treat as like, oh, cool, somebody built this like, yesterday. It has 1 star on it. Cool. Let me download it and run it. Oh, it's missing permissions. Hit sudo on it, and it'll let it do whatever it needs. That's just a normal developer flow. And so I think that is a major issue. And so education around that, but honestly, education rarely works. So tooling around that, something that helps scan to get it, at least on your work devices, maybe better scanning of code that gets downloaded, or maybe given sandboxes for your engineers that they have to use to, okay, you're allowed to touch anything on GitHub, but you have to run it in like a Docker container or something like that. I don't know, like making that process just easier, because right now you could technically do that, but it's pretty painful. And so everybody just does it on their, main file system. And of course, everything gets hacked then. So yeah, I think just like how can we address dev compromises? Because I think that is going to be continuously one of the biggest source of funds, stolen.
Griff, before we're gonna let you go in a second or two, I got 2 more questions at least for the round. You guys moved the starting date to April 23rd.
Yeah,
like half an hour ago.
Exactly.
Is that a good sign, or is the demand stronger? Yeah.
I mean, it's we had like a huge bulk of applications in the last like 2 days.
Yeah, you beat the drum too loud on that, I guess.
Yeah, I was DMing like mad. I'm not gonna lie, and our whole team was. And then what we're finding out is actually we don't have necessarily all the expertise. I mean, there's 2 things. Number one, we want even more applications, because there were a lot of projects that I'm like, I don't want to call anyone out, but I'm like really serious, important security projects that will do well in this round that did not apply. And like, God, I want to say it so bad. There's so many, but I'm not going to do it. They still have time to apply. So, that was one dimension. The other dimension is like, we don't, as Giveth, we don't have as much security expertise to really judge is this a good project or not. And we have way more like middle ground projects. And like, is this a security project? Like, let's say a client, like a Geth style Ethereum client that's not super big, right? Is that a security project? No, I don't think so. I don't know, but maybe, it's like, well, Haskell EVM is like, dude, that's used for so many interesting security things. So, okay, yes. But what, maybe, that's the thing. So I'm like, okay, that's beyond my expertise. I need to talk to like all these badge holders, and
yeah, you need a jury for that, I guess.
in some ways. And because actually Quadratic Funding really relies on strict eligibility requirements. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of really great projects that applied that are like doing developer onboarding in Africa, or, just like other cool things that or like a good news organization, and yes, they have like security related posts, but they're not wrecked, they're not like block threat, those are security focused things. So we're letting them in the round, but we're not letting in like a Cointelegraph style app, it's like, because it's not security focused, even though they do. And so there's just so much middle ground. And like, if we get the eligibility criteria well done and we're strict with it, then the round is so much better. You have way less noise, and you have like really a lot of targeted impact towards the security space. And so
maybe you want to have like the Ethereum security badge holders vote on projects in the next round or something.
Yes. Well, one of the things that I found in DAOs is that the whole like forum post snapshot style voting thing is just painful all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
So actually in the badge holder system, I'm trying to be very strong on like, you're never going to have to read a forum post or anything. It's like, it's like Quadratic Funding. They're going to have this extra power in donations, like it's going to be like I feel like the things that worked well in DAOs are like, Ethereum signaling. Like if you run a client, you set your own gas price, more of this algorithmic government style, or even VE curve, VE BAL, like vote escrow style voting, where you're like, yeah, I want to send it to those liquidity pools,
Mm-hmm.
like that. I'm not saying we're not going to do that exactly, but like, I feel like those things really worked well. Quadratic Funding is another one. It's like you go in there, we're going to give them money. They can add their own money on top of it. We're also going to give them those funds in a new address that's not publicly associated to their name, so they don't have to be political about it. They can be like, yeah, I do love that project. Honestly, I don't think it's that good. Yeah, I'll donate, and then you don't have to. So like, we're going to do everything we can to make the ETH security badge holder experience not political and more just like aggregating signals, expert signal, and that's. So like voting on eligibility, not so much, but maybe calling on a few people saying, hey, does anyone want to help? And actually Roscoe from Revoke.cash offered to help today.
Great guy.
Pooja, Gustavo, from X Trail of Bits. Like a lot of these guys, we're calling on them. They're helping us review some projects, and we just needed like a couple more days for that. Mm-hmm. And then we'll get this round started.
Okay, this is an outlook in the future, Griff. I think that the round is closing on May 14th.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So we might have you back until then.
Really?
to do like a snapshot or whatever of the last round.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, I guess that's cool. But I got one final question for you guys, and this is like for the whole panel basically. And my rounding or wrapping question today is basically: will security ever be sustainable if we don't rely on grants in the space?
Ooh.
Whoever has an answer can leave first.
I mean, I'm recklessly optimistic as a virtue. Okay, I do believe it will be sustainable. I do think that we will solve this problem. I mean, it might come at some, it might require some unique, economic solutions, but in the end, we do need to secure this stuff. If crypto is going to become the financial backbone of the world, or even the backbone of civil society, which it has the potential to do, we have to secure it. So we have to find those solutions, and it really does pay to coordinate. So I feel like we can find a better coordination solution than what we're doing now, and I'm confident we will.
Yeah, I think also, even the for-profit companies, they can help, like the for-profit security companies can help build some of that sustainable layer in between. There's just benefits because of it. Like we, for example, openly share our data with like other people like Blockade, like Hypernative and others. And people always come to us like, wait, aren't you guys like competitors or something? And I'm like, well, no, first of all, we offer completely different services, and there's many customers that use all of us or both of us or whatever. But also, there's a lot of benefits to data sharing in certain cases, and it actually lets us do our job better and get ahead of the attackers faster. The attackers, they have no restrictions, they have no issues, they just run circles around security companies. And so I think there's a place where we need to stop like jabbing each other and instead start figuring out, okay, how do we build like a network between us that makes us collectively better at doing our jobs. And that is forming. That is forming through things like Seal, but it's also forming just us talking like founder to founder, security, like, implementation team to implementation team, and sharing data. And that is happening as well. And then others benefit from this as well.
I've been really impressed with how well the auditing space coordinates with each other. They seem to be all friends. So which is really cool in such a competitive, and $1 billion industry. It's very warming to see. And I feel like we haven't even cracked insurance. Every other industry in the world that has assets uses insurance. Like we could have white hat insurance, like we're just insuring bounties. It's like we have barely touched any of the even like TradFi style solutions for securing assets. Juan, do you have a thought on this?
Any wrapping words, Juan?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned a lot of good things, and I agree with both of you. What I would say is that scammers are always finding new ways, new threats, and we need to find ways to fund these. Like developers are like as smart as the scammers to try to find active solutions for these, because I don't think that the scams that we're going to be suffering in 10 years in crypto are the ones that are happening right now. Hopefully we can solve like, I don't know, the phishing websites, all the scams happening to hot wallets, where we can find solutions across all these different products right now. But scams will probably be still happening because crypto is like such a good way to make profits along these different, to all these different people that they can be anonymous and all of these, that new problems will probably arise. So I think the challenge is to see how we can unite as a security companies along all of these and these problems, and to align not only for the problems that we have right now, but for the problems that we are going to have in the next 10 years. Because I personally believe that crypto is not going anywhere. That's the way that we need to be coordinating this.
Great one. I think one of the ways we are uniting is the show, Hot Takes, Cold Wallets. Thank you, Griff, for your time. Thank you, Nikita. Thank you, Juan. I know you're going to be dropping soon, Griff, so thank you again for the time. Thanks for hosting the awesome round that you're doing and really putting the effort into save or make the ecosystem a lot safer. I really appreciate that. And again, we would be happy to have you again on the show in a few weeks or something. And I think the majority of the audience will agree. And thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
That'd be amazing. See you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.